It's good to see you guys. Disappointed with the loss. I'm proud of the effort, proud of the care factor and just the fight that we had. You know, I think to start the game, the idea was to kind of run the ball with the quarterback and really try to get a run game going, slow the clock, control the clock, and matriculate the ball down the field, get some points, and struggled to really get running lanes and all of it. I thought that we were able to open up the passing game and take some shots, and Keytron came with some really key receptions. I thought special teams, you know, there'd been so much focus and effort into kickoff return, and you know, I thought our special teams this year, you know, was an area of growth for us, and I think you know, you could look back in some games where it was a way bright spot for us, and the one unit that had kind of lagged behind in that had been kickoff return, and so you know, there was a bit of a revolving door at returner, and you know, the lead blockers of all of it, and who's getting the double team or who's doing the double team, and so to go through all of that, and then to end tonight with just Richard and his runs and just the guys and their blocks. It's just really cool to see. It's cool to see all of that kind of come to fruition there. And then defensively, you know, going into the game, you know, West Virginia is very, throughout the year, a lot of evidence on film of, hey, their openers would be the things that people had messed up on prior to the season. So, you know, if they're making a gumbo or something, they'd throw in, you know, TCU shift and motion, and you know, UCF's tempo, and all these things. And so we saw all of that, and a lot of that was expected. Our execution of it was very poor, and you know, we just had a hard time really stopping much of anything that first half. I thought in the third quarter and you know, the second half, we were able to settle down. A lot of it was just getting eyes on our keys, communicating. 11 guys operating is one thing. And so it was good. It was good to see defensively guys have fun and kind of get on the hunt there for a little bit. For sure, there needs to be more of that, you know. But disappointing at the end of it. I thought, you know, when I talked to the team, it's like, I wish that if you cared a whole lot and you didn't quit and gave effort, I wish you could say those things would happen and you get a win because of it. But that's just not the case. You know, that's not life. And so, hard loss. Going to miss our seniors. Going to miss, you know, T.J. Franklin in there has been through a lot of it. Bryson Jackson's been playing for like a decade. And so there's dudes in there that have seen it all, you know. And they're fighting the fight, man. 'Cause it's, you know, I get it. It's so easy to be negative, and these boys were not. And that's just so cool. And so I'm proud of that, you know. A lot to improve on. This year is not acceptable, and that starts with me. And so a lot of work to be done. Take any questions you guys got.
Dave, like you said, the defense played really well in that second half, had the big fourth down stop. They had 74 yards on their first 18 plays, and then went 80 in 6 plays without a timeout. Where do you think was the misconnection there, that last drive?
Oh, yeah, I think I know that last play was a 5-man blitz, and it was a fire zone. So it was 3 under 3 deep, and the back ran a wheel, and the X ran a post, and we're in a true thirds there. So there's a guy that drops on number 2, the back, and he should be playing with the back, but he should really be pushing it deep, and the corner should fall off the post and take the wheel, you know, and he didn't. And so, you know, I mean, it just cuts you wide open, you know. And so I just think, you know, I think that's an example. I think at the end of the half's an example, you know, of kind of how hard our lessons have been and how frustrating the season's been. we're losing an arm and a leg to get 2 or 3 yards, and then we don't execute and then we're not able to stop a locomotive, and so I think a lot of that goes into not letting the past be predictive of the future, and when stuff gets going, the momentum of it, right? Letting it go and being in the present. I thought our guys were able to do that in the second half. We did not do that in that drive.
Coach, you talked about this season and it not being acceptable, and it's starting with you. With that in mind, why should fans not give up on you?
No, I appreciate that. There is a great group of freshmen and sophomore players, very talented, and we're working really hard on retaining them. I just think with the ability and the talent that they have right now, they're being recruited, and so all of our process has been kind of undertaken the last 2 months really, and so we're still kind of into that, and I think the connections with them and their coaches and the rest of the team and their connection with me are all going to be a part of it. I just think that nowadays you're going to end up losing guys. Guys are going to move on. I think that's just part of what it is. And so I just think, we've got to build the guys that we really, can see playing here, and guys that want to be here, and just all the guys that are a right fit. We have to fight really hard to keep them. And so I think that there's a lot of positive with that. I think the facility that Baylor football is going to move into is just a huge positive. There's what an opportunity to learn. And to get detail down better with a walkthrough room and just all of the learning space there and the technology that's going to be in there, just way cool. And so there is a lot of positive things. I think, at the very end of tonight, I was speaking with Neil Brown. I have a lot of respect for him, and I always have. And he came to me, he goes, "Dave, this sucks for you," And I go, I said, "I appreciate that, man." He goes, "I went through this, and it's way cleansing. You're gonna come out of this having fun and kicking butt." So I appreciate that. I kind of feel that way too, and so a lot of work to do though, but I appreciate that question.
What do you blame yourself most for this season? When you say it's unacceptable and you've put a lot on it yourself, when you look back, what could you have done sooner to try to straighten this out?
Yeah, appreciate that. I think the using the transfer portal too, not this year but the year prior, I think we would have done that. We would have had more seniors this year, more guys returning with playing time. I think that's a huge one. That's a big one. And then I think just overall, just being hyper aggressive, just NIL. I think we've talked about that some with Smoke and that. I think those would be two that I think I look back and I say I could have done a much better job in those areas.
So you have a whole plan for that you've already presented, or
yes,
is that?
Yeah. And so I think so much of it is as you go through the season, and then things are turning the way they are. I think you have to be able to see the truth and stuff. I mean, you can't get any better if you don't see the truth. And I think truth a lot of times is hard, but I think when you speak it and you have a plan to get better for it, and whether that's embracing stuff or whether that's saying no to stuff or whatever it is, a lot of times it's a little of both. There is a clear path, and I'm excited for that, and I'm rejuvenated by that.
Dave, with all that being said, what have you and Mac talked about as far as moving forward after this season the way it is, and your role, and is this your team next year?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, Mac and I have had a fair amount of talks, and I think it's been. I appreciate the talks, and I appreciate the honesty and all of it, and so I think those talks are going to continue. And I just think, like, for me, I want to do well. I feel like the support at Baylor, right? I feel it. I feel like this is a great fit for me. I feel like this is something that this is something that I care about very deeply, and so having those talks, I feel them, and I get it, and I want to do better, and that's my goal. Okay, thank you, guys.
Richard, I don't remember if you had been back there on kickoff return, but what was that like, back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns?
It was awesome. Practice make perfect. So we give it our all in practice, and we practice it every day, and we apply it to the field.
Richard, considering how the game ended, how do you balance that joy of the 2 kickoff return touchdowns for yourself with obviously the disappointment that you guys feel having a game that maybe you feel like you should have won?
I'd say we gave it our all as a team, and we came together. So that really meant a lot to us. And Coach Aranda told us from the beginning that we got to come out and give it our all our last game and just play as a team. So I'd say that took a big role in it.
Richard, you were a freshman All-American last year. You had almost as many kick return yards tonight as you had rushing yards this year. What was the disconnect with you not getting the football?
I'd say just by the coaches. Like, last year I had success, but this year we had, like, a lot of new people come in, and they took a role, which, it didn't, like, faze me, but I just stuck with the process and just kept moving with it.
Obviously a tough year. Where does this team go from here, after a 3-9 season? Where does this team go next?
I'd say we just going to stick together as a team and come back next year and just give it our all again.
Your thoughts on your last game and just your career at Baylor as a whole?
The memories from this last game is being able to play with a brotherhood, play with a team, and just laying it out on the line. And I had a lot of talks with coaches, and they were explaining their last games and just how important it was to leave it out there on the field. And I just feel like I did that today. And, it hits hard, and it really didn't hit me until right after the game. The clock hit 0. I've had such an amazing time here at this university. I've had so many people pour into me, and I've changed and grown in so many areas that I'm so thankful for. And I just feel like God put me in these situations for every year that I stepped out and been here for this university, just to continue to grow and be there for people. And that's just something I want to do later in life. Is I always want to pour into people. I want to make people around me better. And I just feel like this season I poured into a lot of guys, and it's great to have young guys look up to you and respect you. So I'm forever grateful for everybody at this university and all my experiences and moments. There's so many of them. But it's definitely been such a blessing to be a part of this program.
Especially the way that game ended and kind of how the season has been overall. What do you think is next for the people that are staying and the people that are coming back to that locker room? From your perspective, where does Baylor go from here?
Yes, so I think it's really important because we actually had a situation like this happen in 2020. There was a lot of unfortunate situations as far as guys getting COVID and just all that, and there was a lot of adversity. The record wasn't what we wanted. But what happened the offseason when we came back, the first team meeting, just to look in the guys' eyes, the instant connection building that we had in that team meeting room, going into the offseason workouts, and then going into spring ball was just something different. So I think everything that's happened this whole year, and including this last game, because a lot of teams like that has the record that we have, would probably have gave up, before this game even started. But we fought. Our seniors fought, and they showed something that these guys that are going to be, these upperclassmen next year, guys that are going to be these leaders next year, y'all can be really good, man. Like, if y'all just pour into each other, continue working, like, y'all can go and win another Big 12 championship. Y'all can go get into the college football playoffs if y'all want to. So I think that, God works in mysterious ways, and you just got to learn from what opportunities are thrown your way. And we've had a lot of adversity, and I think that you can turn that adversity into some power, into some motivation to become a better version of yourself, a better team, and just a better person overall.
Bryson, end of half and then the end of the game, was that lack of execution? Was it missed assignments? What do you think happened on those two drives?
Communication. I definitely think that was communication. We were trying to get guys to talk on the field as far as what coverage to play, where to fit your gap, and the communication kind of died out a little bit towards the end. It was something we've always struggled with, but in those critical moments, we had to just communicate with each other so we could all be on the same page, because it was a bunch of busted coverage. And it's so unfortunate because, you make these big stops with your line of at the line of scrimmage, and then, in coverage, you want to be tight with your assignment and your alignment. So it's just the communication aspect was really the big thing that kind of changed towards the end of the second half, and it's a lot to learn from it. Yeah. Thank y'all.